What I've realized is the best, the most precious thing I've ever found in my life. I've noticed that a lot of others are pretty weirded out when I don't interact with a lot of people. I remember one guy, he came up to me and he said, "Oh, you're having a bunch of meetings over in Washington Park in that amphitheater. You must have tons of people go there." And I'm like, "No, I've never gone. I've never had anybody go." But it's there. It's an option. I'm putting it there so that if people are ready for that kind of wisdom, if they want to hear it, great. But I know that forcing it or trying to market it or anything like that, I may embrace a marketing model sometime. But for now, my marketing is just to tell people about my website, hand out my card every time they ask, and just keep it that simple because I don't want to get lost in the manipulative stuff that people get involved with, where they're trying to expecting someone to come to them and trying to do all this stuff. And that's part of the reason I don't charge anything for this, because I'd rather just give people the option to have a meeting with me. And if there's something I say that gets recorded that I think could be put in a book or be part of a podcast, it's there for other people to benefit from. It's not something that I'm doing for me. I'm not doing it because I want to be prominent or I feel like I'm somehow important. It's just what I've realized is the best, the most precious thing I've ever found in my life. It's the most, you could hand me, you could literally have someone walk up to me and say, "Here is $1 million, but we will only give you this $1 million if you give up all the insights you have received in your life." I would reject that $1 million in a second, without a doubt. And that's just to give you a little bit of an idea of the value of this that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's no amount of money that could ever touch what I am talking about. This is the ultimate insight of a lifetime, at least within Western context, because there are forces around us, kind of dark forces that prevent us from doing that powerful yoga stuff that I was talking about earlier, where you don't experience physical pain, where you are able to connect with the greater forces. And there are a lot of really wealthy, manifesting secret types in America who have this toxic positivity about them, where they just think, if only everyone else was as enlightened as I. And they don't get it. They don't understand. There are people going through serious shit that are living in prison, that are living most of their lives in a factory like the one I'm in, that literally cannot connect to this kind of higher consciousness. And the only way to connect with it is the way I've gone, which is to mentally learn to completely let go of your mind in a compulsive way, so that you have no more compulsive thoughts. They're gone. Maybe every now and then you have a slight fleeting compulsive thought that comes to you, but you can see it come. And you can say,
Let her go.
"I'm not interested. I know it's painful." You can consciously start to not touch the burning stove and say, "I'd rather not think anything." And it throws people off a lot when you actually, I remember somebody coming up to me and saying some kind of paranoid thought that was actually pretty reasonable as a paranoid thought to have in the context we were in. And I said, "Oh, I never thought about that." And she was shocked that I had not thought about this paranoid thought that is super common.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she was absolutely floored. And she was like, "I wish my mind could not go to those dark places. And I really envy you." And that's what I'm talking about, where you just don't go there. You just don't And if you start to go there, even the tiniest bit, you just see where it's going and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, no, I'm good. That's
Let
not,
go.
I've
Right.
been there before and it's not desirable. It's just
Mm.
not, it's, why would I do it? I don't know
That's
why.
amazing. It is
Yeah.
amazing.
It's something that I would love to give to even one person. And that's why if anybody wants to learn it, I'm happy to share and talk about it and try to explain. But it is hard.
Yes.
Krishnamurti struggled a lot to explain this stuff. He spent so long in front of crowds of hundreds of people and tried to tell them what he was talking about. And hundreds and millions of people just were like, what are you talking about? Maybe today with what we've gone through, people might be a little more ready for it, but I'm under no illusion that everyone's ready for it.
No.
This is not for everyone. There's a lot of people that,
It's wanting to share that inside. It's based
Yeah.
on love, really.
oh, yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
ultimate caring.
Yeah.
Once you receive this, you recognize that if even 1%, especially 10% of the human population understood what I understand, the globe would change in 5 years' time.
That'd be amazing.
No
Yeah.
problem. Like literally no more hunger, no more suffering. Like the suffering that you're talking about, the kind of like the physical things people go through, being homeless, all that kind of stuff, that's real. But it doesn't need to be real. Most of it is the result of our minds going haywire and justifying inequality and justifying all these things that are going on. If enough people see what I'm talking about or understand what I'm talking about, the world would change. I'm not expecting the world to change. It's just a knowing that would be the massiveness of this kind of understanding, because it's not woo-woo. It's not requiring you to have a belief system. I'd say one thing that it's requiring that is hard for people is to let go of belief systems
It's
and
very,
to let go of disbelief systems as well. Being disbelieving is also a problem. And there's always this compulsive tendency that people have to agree or disagree, and letting go of that too, because they're the same as believing and disbelieving. You just start to be in the reality, because like, for example, if you just agree with me right now, there's no meaning to that. But if you understand what I'm saying, then that's meaningful. I think some of it comes from not recognizing that there's enough to go around. So it isn't just greed, but it's also ignorance and not being fully
Yeah.
aware that abundant access to things is possible for
It's
everyone.
possible.
But it's not like something that would just happen overnight, but I think it does get overlooked just how much we waste on commercialism, trying to get people to buy things that they don't really need. We're putting so much energy into stuff that isn't essential, when really I think people want security, physical security. No bombs that are gonna fall on me, a shelter that's comfortable, food that's
Food
regular, but just the clothing and stuff that you need, society that doesn't fight with each other, that isn't in constant conflict. And those things are just clearly possible. It's obvious at this point. Like, how could you say it's impossible to clothe and feed and take care of everyone in the world at this point?
Yeah.
It's with the extravagance of wealthy people today. There's no way that you can say that. But on top of that, you could have a lot of wealth and great things.